Good morning, America. I'm Vanessa Broussard. We are awaiting a press conference from Broussard Tom Homan. He will be speaking from Minneapolis, Minnesota any minute now. As soon as that starts, we will bring that to you live. Now to new developments in the case of Nancy Guthrie. Authorities have found a black glove near Nancy's home. The glove is not far from where authorities have been searching for Nancy. This glove has been taken to a lab to be tested. We are now on day 12 that Nancy Guthrie has been missing from her Tucson, Arizona home. The 84-year-old went missing in the overnight hours of January 31st. Authorities still hoping this surveillance image that you were just looking at showing a masked, armed individual outside of Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home will help them to the person responsible. Authorities confirmed they had to work with Google partners to obtain these videos since Nancy's Nest camera was disconnected that night. The family saying they do not recognize the person in the video. Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, who suffers from medical conditions, remains unaccounted for, and the search continues. The family believes she may still be alive. As you remember, a man was detained for questioning Tuesday night, but he was released. So still no leads that we know of and still no answers as to where Nancy may be. This is a continuing developing story. Stay with us for any new updates in this case. Now we have breaking news out of the military. 2 U.S. Navy ships have collided in the Caribbean. According to reports, a U.S. destroyer and a supply vessel collided during a refueling operation. 2 people suffered minor injuries. Now to the SAVE Act. The House passed the revised version by a 218 to 213 vote. It now heads to the Senate for the vote. The act would require voters to provide a proof of U.S. citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. Representative Tim Burchett, he torched Democrats for lying to Americans about what's inside the bill.
The gentleman from Tennessee is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Save America Act will block illegal immigrants and non-citizens from voting. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there being spread by the media and my friends across the aisle. House Republicans and President Trump want to protect the ballot box and ensure integrity in our elections across this great country. Only U.S. citizens should participate in the election process. The laws we create in Congress affect all Americans, and Americans should be the ones who select their leaders. The Save America Act put in place safeguards, Mr. Speaker, to prevent non-citizens from abusing our democratic process. United States citizens should be the people choosing our elected leaders, not illegal immigrants. Now, look, I'm not a drinker. Everybody knows that. But I know if I go to Weigel's in Knoxville, Tennessee, down on the corner of Emory Road and Tazewell Pike, and if I go in there to buy a 6-pack or a can of Skull or a scratch-off, dadgummit, I gotta produce an ID. When you purchase a firearm, when you board a plane, when you open a bank account, if I put $100 in the bank and then right then and ask for 20 of it back, guess what? I gotta show a dadgum ID. Why can't you vote for an elected official without one, Mr. Speaker? This legislation codifies President Trump's action to secure our voter registration process, which has been a key platform of President Trump this term. Democrats are lying, Mr. Speaker, saying this bill prevents minorities from registering to vote. It protects their vote. It protects every American citizen's vote. And it disgusts me, and frankly, I find it racist to assume that minorities cannot obtain an ID. We need to have the guts to stand up and protect our dadgum elections, Mr. Speaker, and that means we need to pass the Save America Act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, and we have Tom Homan now, who just took the podium in Minneapolis. We bring you that coverage live.
Field Office. Stephen Schrank, Acting Special Agent in charge for ICE Homeland Security Investigations. And Chris Kuhn, Deputy Chief Patrol Agent for the United States Border Patrol. I'm very pleased to report that this search operation and our work here with state and local officials to improve coordination and achieve mutual goals, as well as our efforts to address issues of concern here on the ground, have yielded the successful results we came here for. The Twin Cities of Minnesota in general are and will continue to be much safer for the communities here because of what we have accomplished under President Trump's leadership. I previously shared with you before I got here. Before I even got here, I met with, I said I was going to meet with the governor, the AG, and the Mayor Fry, Mayor Herr, and I've done all of that. I've also met with various police chiefs and sheriffs. And one thing we all had in common was the importance of ensuring and maintaining public safety. Overall, we made a lot of progress through extensive engagement, meeting with them and other key stakeholders. And it is expected that those engagements and discussions will continue going forward in order to enhance exchange of information and more coordination. As a result of this surge operation, we have greatly reduced the number of targets for enforcement action. And many criminal aliens have been arrested and taken off the streets, including murderers, sex offenders, national security threats, gang members, and other violent criminals. Just this week, ICE arrested a criminal alien with criminal convictions for rape, acts with a child under 14 years of age with force, lewd and lascivious acts with a child under 14. ICE also arrested 2 criminal aliens with criminal sexual misconduct convictions, among other violent criminals. Through targeted enforcement operations based on reasonable suspicion and prioritizing safety and security, ICE will continue to identify, arrest, and remove illegal aliens that pose a risk to public safety,
Yeah, okay.
like we've done for years.
No, you're good.
And our
I feel bad.
officers
You're
will
like
carry out
it's
their
everywhere.
duties with professionalism, integrity, and compassion like we've done for years. We will enforce the immigration law against all persons in the United States illegally. I want to say something about the various unfounded complaints I'm hearing about ICE enforcement operations. During the surge operation, ICE has not arrested anybody inside a hospital. We have not arrested anybody inside of a school, an elementary school. We have not arrested anybody inside a church. As a matter of fact, the only ones that disrespected the sanctuary of a church were the agitators that have been arrested and prosecuted, and so far we have 9 of them. However, those locations are not off the table. I said from day one, there's no sanctuary for a significant public safety threat or national security threat. But as far as those stories about ICE going into churches and arresting people in hospitals, it simply has not happened. And if you have a case where it happened, you let me know. Because all the digging I've done here, I can't find a single one. Under President Trump's direction, we have obtained an unprecedented level of coordination with law enforcement officials that is focused on promoting public safety across the entire state. While I don't agree with Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellis on everything, I appreciate the support the governor gives to state agencies who coordinate with us in a manner intended to promote public safety. And I appreciate the AG having an open dialogue with me. Early on, the first meeting I had, acknowledging that county jails may notify ICE of the release date of an inmate, just as long as they don't hold them past the time they would normally release them. We now have the ability to arrest criminal aliens in the safety and security of jails throughout the state at the time they're being released, like we've done in other states. I've also directed the strategic placement of officers in certain areas throughout the states that can respond quickly to sheriffs that want to release somebody and notify us. We need to be nearby so they don't hold them unnecessarily. So we worked on a strategic plan to reassign officers in those key locations. Arresting a public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail is safer for the alien, it's safer for the officer, and safer for the community. I think we all can agree on that. It requires less resources for at-large operations. It just makes sense. I'll say it again, as I've said many times, we are not asking local law enforcement to act as immigration officers. I don't want them to be immigration officers. We're the immigration officers. We just want them to be cops. We're asking law enforcement to coordinate with other law enforcement to help keep public safety risks out of the communities. We have also strengthened our existing coordination with the state to target and take custody of criminal aliens more efficiently and effectively. As a result of our efforts here, Minnesota is now less of a sanctuary state for criminals. And we are proud of the public safety threats we have removed from the criminal aliens out of this state. As I said in my first press conference a couple weeks ago, President Trump didn't send me here because the operations were being run and conducted perfectly. I came here to identify issues and implement solutions to improve our mission execution. Since that time, in order to improve target enforcement operation, I and my team here, we made personnel changes. We integrated BP with the ICE teams. We established a single unified chain of command structure. We strengthened joint intelligence and targeting capabilities. We deployed body cameras. We increased the footprint of internal affairs. We commuted zero tolerance for misconduct. President Trump also deployed me here to work with state and local officials to de-escalate the intense, volatile reactions and conflicts that have unfolded on the streets here between federal law enforcement and unlawful agitators. While working to course correct and improve how enforcement operations are being run and executed here, and even before I was sent up here, I've been saying over and over that forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, or interfering with a federal law enforcement officer is a crime in violation of USC 111. It's not okay and will not be tolerated. Zero tolerance if you cross that line and put hands on an ICE officer. Not only is such activity unlawful, it is dangerous, and sadly we have seen tragic consequences, as well as adverse impacts on businesses and the communities here in the city. While the Trump administration supports everyone's First Amendment right to freedom of speech and assembly and to petition, it has to be done lawfully and peacefully. Because we will not tolerate unlawful actions committed by agitators who are just causing havoc. This is not the way to express your disagreement or try to reform federal laws. Go talk to your members of Congress if you want the laws changed in this country. Nor is doxing federal law enforcement personnel and their families, it's just not right. Enough is enough with this misguided, reckless, and shameful behavior. We don't want to see any more bloodshed. I don't want to see any more bloodshed. I pray every night for the safety of our law enforcement personnel and the safety of those in the community, whether you're here legally or illegally. I don't want to see anybody harmed. If you break the law, we're going to arrest you. We have already arrested more than 200 people for violations of USC 111. The U.S. Attorney's Office has already accepted many for prosecutions, and some are still pending. I have also received commitments from state and local law enforcement that they will respond if federal law enforcement is being impeded or assaulted. They will shut down unlawful agitator activity, including arresting agitators involved and seeing them follow through. And we're seeing them follow through on those commitments. We've seen this past weekend that the state and local law enforcement have taken actions when it comes to public safety. And bless them for doing that. Since I have been here, I've repeatedly emphasized that the unlawful and violent agitator activity is unacceptable and must wind down as a condition for further drawdown of law enforcement personnel. I cannot remove law enforcement personnel while violence poses serious risk to our officers. I will not leave my officers in that position. It is worth knowing that in all my meetings and discussions since I got here, I've not heard one federal, state, local law enforcement, or judicial official, nor any member of the business or faith communities that I met with, say that ICE is an illegitimate agency that doesn't have a real mission. Quite the opposite. All I've heard is the acknowledgement that federal immigration laws passed by Congress do exist, and ICE has a legitimate responsibility to enforce those laws. ICE is a legitimate federal law enforcement agency. We're not out scouring the streets to disappear people or deny people their civil rights or due process. In addition to taking public safety threats off the street, ICE here in this state have located 3,364 missing unaccompanied alien children. Children that the last administration lost and weren't even looking for. That's because the leadership of President Trump, these children were located. As part of the de-escalation efforts, I have called on state and local officials these past few weeks to tone down the rhetoric and denounce unlawful activities being conducted by the agitators. We don't have to agree on everything, and we definitely do not. But we all agree that the lawlessness and chaos and disruption that is occurring on the street needs to end. I want to thank Governor Walz for his messages focusing on peace and his support for the Minnesota State Troopers to respond to unlawful situations that put federal officers and the public at risk. I also want to thank Mayor Frey for taking a public stance against agitators setting up barricades that block streets and endanger public safety, and for directing the police to take those roadblocks down. Additionally, I want to thank Police Chief O'Hara, Sheriff Witt, and various other local law enforcement for their responsiveness and efforts to maintain law and order in the streets. We've seen a big change here in the last couple of weeks, and it's all good changes. I'm also pleased to report that we're seeing a notable decrease on unlawful agitator activity here in Minneapolis and overall throughout the state. This is great news for Minnesota communities that have been adversely impacted by the lawlessness and chaos on the street. We have what we call here QRFs, Quick Response Force, security teams, that get called out when ICE officers are out doing operations. They get into trouble, if agitators get out of control, if there's a danger and public safety is at risk, these QRFs respond to help these officers get off the X and get out of that situation. I asked today when I got here, I want to know what the QRFs call outs are, what their deployments are. I want to know every time a QRF is called out. The QRF deployments have dropped dramatically because we have less of that occurring, less of the agitator that cross that line. That is a good thing. That is a win for everybody, not just for the safety of law enforcement officers. It's a win for this community. With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this surge operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week. We have a lot of work to do across this country to remove public safety risk who shouldn't even be in this country, and to deliver on President Trump's promise for strong border security and mass deportation. Law enforcement officers drawing down from this surge operation will either return to their duty stations or be assigned elsewhere to achieve just that. We will continue to enforce Title VIII immigration law throughout this nation. Prioritizing national security threats and public safety risks makes sense. But I'll continue to say over and over again, if you are here in the country legally, you're not exempt from our immigration laws. If we encounter you, we'll take appropriate enforcement action. For those that say we are backing down from immigration enforcement or the promise of mass deportations, you are simply wrong. Look at the data. Record number of arrests and deportations under President Trump's first year. And we'll continue that effort. Prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats doesn't mean we'll forget about everybody else. We will take action on everybody else. That's just a stone cold fact. A small footprint of personnel will remain for a period of time to close out and transition full command and control back to the field office. As well,
Factor meals deliver pro-level nutrition with chef-crafted flavor.
Additionally, federal government personnel assigned to conduct criminal investigation into the agitators, as well as the personnel assigned here for the fraud investigations, will remain in place until their work is done. I will also remain on the ground for a little longer to oversee the drawdown of this operation and ensure its success. In closing, I want to thank the leadership and senior management that I've worked with for your efforts into these issues, determine deficiencies and challenges, present solutions, and implement improvements that will benefit how operations are run and executed nationwide. God bless the men and women of ICE, men and women of the Border Patrol. Appreciate everything you've done for us. Also, with sincere gratitude, President Trump and I want to thank the men and women of ICE and CBP and partner agencies who have been assigned here during Operation Metro Surge. You achieved a great success for the Minnesota communities. Thank you to your families as well, because I know they sacrifice also. Thank you, President Trump, for your vision, as well as your support and confidence in these brave, dedicated patriots that work hard to deliver on your strong commitment to law and order, public safety, prosperity for American communities. Today, we have the most secure border in American history. We are seeing record numbers of people being arrested and deported. Your promise to make America safe again is being played out every day on the streets of this country. I've said it many times. I worked for 6 different presidents, 10 different administrations. No one has done it better than President Trump. God bless this great country. I'll take questions now.
We'll take a couple questions, no follow-ups. I'll start off with Frankie.
Yeah. Mr. Homan.
Tom Homan wrapping up his press conference in Minneapolis, saying violent criminals have been taken off the streets of Minnesota. He has strategically placed ICE agents in key locations to help local police there. Tom Homan also saying he's not asking local law to be immigration officers. He just wants coordination to protect the communities, and he's immediately calling for a drawdown, but continuing to prioritize immigration laws, that is, in this country. He made that very clear. He will continue to prioritize our immigration laws. Now, I want to go back real quick to the SAVE Act. We were talking about that just a little earlier. It passed the House last night and now heads to the Senate. Some Democrats say the bill is racist. So our Allison Steinberg tracked down Yvette Clarke and Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester. Watch what they had to say.
Just stated that the SAVE Act is an attack on civil rights and is racist. Could you just explain that further? Because 76% of Black Americans support the SAVE Act, according to CNN.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, we find it racist because at the end of the day, it's targeting Black communities with a cost burden. We've been through this historically, right? Where we've been prohibited from voting because we didn't know how many bubbles were in a soap bar. And so this is just a new iteration of that, and we're very focused on defeating it.
But if 76% of Black Americans support voter ID,
I don't believe that's 76%.
CNN reported it?
Well, that's
Check out the polls?
that's possible.
Okay.
But I do not agree with it.
You just spoke about the SAVE Act, the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm Allison with LINDELLTV. Okay. So the Congressional Black Caucus is saying that the SAVE Act is an attack on civil liberties. I'm sorry. That it's racist. Can you just explain how it's racist? And also, did you know that CNN reported that 76% of Black Americans...
Sean Ryan is my comms director. You can reach out to our office.
So no comment on the SAVE Act being racist. Can you explain that?
Sorry, we have to get...
Do you want to secure elections and ensure that illegals are not voting in our elections? So you're against securing elections?
No comment from her. Allison also sitting in on a meeting where discussions on election integrity were being discussed. Scott Pressler was also there, and he answered. Watch.
Thank you all for being here and working so hard on this issue. Election security is of the utmost importance to us here at LINDELLTV, so we really appreciate all the work you're doing. My question is for any member of Congress. I'm just curious. It's my hope and my prayer that the Save America Act passes the House. I'm confident it will, but obviously the holdup then comes in the Senate. We heard from Senator John Thune just yesterday that he doesn't think that the filibuster can be nuked, but I think the question really boils down to, can we get rid of the zombie filibuster and actually restore standing talking order the way the filibuster was intended, like Mr. Smith goes to Washington style? Has anyone had a conversation with Senator Thune, anyone in the Senate, to try to get that enacted so that we can actually move forward and get the Save America Act passed?
I've talked to Senator Lee about it, and I think that you'll find that there's a real effort, and the public is becoming aware of the difference between a zombie filibuster and a talking filibuster. I mean, I certainly don't ever want to be a Senate rules nerd because they're just mind-numbing. But I do think that people are, for the first time, realizing that there are things that can be done, and just accepting, oh, we have to have 60 votes to do anything. That's not what the rules say. Yeah. So one thing, we want to get this thing through the House today, and then I think that there are going to be a lot of Americans putting a lot of pressure on the Republicans to demand a talking filibuster.
I was a state senator. We had very good rules that gave power to the minority member to have unlimited ability for filibusters. And yet it was a painful process for both the person filibustering and for the people in the majority. That being said, I think that the American people and the voters of Missouri benefited from the fact that their senators went through the painful process of actually having a talking filibuster, because the debate was now on the floor, everyone could see the issue, all eyes were on the topic, and then it forced members to actually go in the back room and have discussions and really hammer things out. The fact that our U.S. Senate has jettisoned that out of convenience, and in my opinion, laziness, and the inability to do the hard and the difficult thing is what the American people should be putting pressure on the Senate to demand that they actually do their job. We have a lot of people in the Senate that don't want to actually lift a finger and do anything, but they owe it to the American people to have a real debate on this extremely important issue.
We really need the help of the American people that are going to be listening to this hearing. And so we know that 83% of the American public support voter ID. We know 76% of Black Americans support voter ID. We know 82% of Latino Americans support voter ID. We know 85% of white Americans support voter ID. And we need your help. The House very likely is going to pass the Save America Act, and hopefully MEGA as well. But we need to put very peaceful pressure on our senators, and the language we want to use is bring the Save America Act to the Senate floor for debate, not nuking the filibuster, but asking for debate, discussion, dialogue. And any senator opposed to common sense legislation that has the overwhelming support of the American people, they must tell the very people they represent why they are against such common sense legislation. And I also asked them to call 202-224-3121. That is the Senate Capitol Switchboard, and call your members of Congress today.
That's how you can get involved. Again, the SAVE Act now goes to the Senate. Leader Thune has co-signed the bill, so it's looking like we are a step closer to getting it passed. We have a lot more coming up. It was a sweet treat for Valentine's Day. The First Lady visiting children, spreading love, sharing smiles. We'll take you there next.
Let's face it, you can't trust Big Pharma. They've already tried to block ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and raise prices on everything from antibiotics to your daily meds. Well, there's good news. All Family Pharmacy is standing up for medical freedom and helping people get the treatments they actually want. My family and I use them all the time. They made it easy and affordable without the runaround. While other pharmacies are jacking up prices, they've actually dropped theirs. Ivermectin now starts at just $2 a capsule. Use my promo code LINDELLTV, you get an extra 10% off of that. You need ivermectin, antibiotics, or methylene blue, you name it, they've got it. They make it simple. You fill out a short online form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and your meds ship fast right to your front door. If you want to be prepared and have your medications on hand, this is your new pharmacy. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code LINDELL10 saves you even more. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code LINDELL10. For the first time ever, we're bringing you MyPillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our MyPillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our MyPillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
Love is in the air. First Lady Melania Trump celebrating Valentine's Day with children battling rare and serious diseases at the Children's Inn at the National Institute of Health. She sat with the children, made arts and crafts, and signed a large card for the hospital. Definitely an unforgettable day for these sweet children. President's Day is coming up. All Family Pharmacy is kicking off its big President's Day sale. Don't miss out on getting in on the big deals. Let's bring in Michael Kunzler with All Family Pharmacy. Michael, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Love to see this sale kicking off today, right? For President's Day. Tell us a little bit about it. I'm on your website right now, and 47% off select medications. Tell us all about it.
Sure. We chose 47 for obvious reasons, President Trump being our 47th president. So we're going to do 47% off ivermectin, mebendazole, two of our most popular drugs, alongside hydroxychloroquine. And then we decided to throw in a couple of the biohacking drugs that we're starting to get a lot of really good results from our patients, like NAD+, Sermorelin. We do a lot of the troches that have glutathione in it. And then we're also going to throw in there the tirzepatide GLP weight loss medication as well. If you're interested, give us a call. But those are the medications that are on sale. It's going to start from today, and it's going to end midnight Tuesday, the 17th of February, right after President's Day. As you know, all of our sales, we don't just do it for 1 or 2 days. We traditionally like to extend them. We give every American the opportunity to take advantage of the sale. We don't try to force everybody to get it in within 24 to 48 hours. That's more of a corporate thing, trying to jam everybody in at once. That's not who we are. So it's something that we like to do.
Right. Well, we are looking again at the website, 47% off President's Day sale. Glad you're with me this morning to kick things off as it starts today. Ivermectin capsules. We have hydroxychloroquine, we have GLP weight loss meds, so much more. You can find it all on their website. Now, when I'm looking at your website now, Michael, we've talked about this before, but I want to remind our viewers, this is like if they're a first-time buyer, this is like going to a doctor's office. You have to put in your weight. It gives you the dose calculator, but you also have to fill out information about your current health as well. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so we have our medical profile that we would like you to fill out. That is for the physician to review. Ultimately, we need to get these prescribed by a primary care doctor, any type of physician that's an MD or can, prescribe legally here in the United States. So basically, the medical questions, there's about 10 or 15 of them. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. We supply those to a physician who's licensed that the patient resides in. That's part of the state law. And then that patient also can be contacted by the doctor. They can have a consultation. We don't get in the way of any of that stuff as we try to stay in our lane here as a pharmacy. The doctors will prescribe appropriately based on, allergies and medical conditions. The prescription then comes to us. We then fulfill the order. We have our pharmacists verify allergies. They verify, medical conditions and everything as well. And then we ship the prescription to you. Process can take anywhere between 1 and 4 business days. Sometimes with these sales, when we do like a buy one, get one free or a big sale like this, we can get a little bit backlogged. So we do try to encourage people, if they need the medication soon, place your order as soon as possible. If you're okay and it's more to kind of put in your cabinet for a later date, take your time. You got plenty of time. We have until the 17th, so we're giving you ultimately 4 to 5 days to place an order and take advantage of this huge discount.
Great knowledge there. Thanks for spelling that all out for us on how this process works. But yes, go ahead and place those orders now. And that's not a long wait at all. Usually it takes, like you mentioned, a couple of business days, and that's pretty quick considering. allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. You can go look at the President's Day sale just kicking off today, 47% off selected medications. And then, so Michael, when they put this in their shopping cart, is there a code that they put in? How does that work?
No, we blanketed across the entire website. About 2 years, year and a half ago, we got away with coupon codes for big sales. A lot of our patients tend to be a little bit elderly. Those are the ones who need the most assistance when placing orders. We have a lot of people who put the coupon code in incorrectly. Most corporations would say, hey, sorry, you put the coupon code incorrectly. We've already charged your credit card. We're not refunding you. We don't do that here. We do everything blanket across the entire website. Everybody gets the sale. Just because you heard about us on Lindell and somebody heard about us, through another corporation, doesn't mean that they don't get the sale, and Lindell audiences does. Lindell audiences usually get the best sales, obviously, but a sale like this is blanketed across the whole website for every single individual inside of America. As long as we're licensed in your state, as long as the medication's safe for you, we're going to provide the services.
All right. Well, I'm excited about it. Everyone go shopping today. Get the medications that you need, and also check out the supplements there as well. Love looking at all of the supplements you have, because it's so very important to take care of our health. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. And at the very top, you can see the banner there about the President's Day sale. Michael, so good to have you on the show. Thanks for stopping by and kicking things off with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, from the supplements you take to the food you eat, what you put in your body is so very important. Our Allison Steinberg, she's at it again. Now she's at the MAHA event in Washington, D.C., that is. Today, she's talking about a product that's in many of our foods that we don't really even know about. Watch.
Hello, everyone. Allison Steinberg here with Lindell TV. We are outside of the Heritage Foundation celebrating the 1-year anniversary of MAHA. We're here with Zen Honeycutt, who is the executive director for Moms Across America. Thanks so much for being here with us today. It's great to have you. And I know you've been very vocal about glyphosate. I feel like not enough people know the dangers of glyphosate and what is actually happening to our food. Talk to us more about that.
Glyphosate is the most widely used herbicide in the world, glyphosate herbicides. You may know it as Roundup or Ranger Pro, right? That's just one of the, hundreds of different brand names that contain glyphosate. And glyphosate is a very effective weed killer. However, it's also being used as a drying agent on crops such as wheat, peas, beans, legumes. So they spray it just before harvest. And they spray it on GMO crops like corn, soy, sugar, canola, all of those types of crops, the commodity crops. So we are consuming glyphosate in almost every bite of food unless you're eating organic. And this is a major problem because glyphosate is a carcinogen, an endocrine disruptor. It causes nervous system damage, kidney damage at very low levels. It causes damage to sperm, and it androgenizes baby girls. If the mother is exposed, the baby will come out more masculinized. Yes, it's a very harmful herbicide, and it's the most widely used. So we're exposed to it so much that Dr. Don Huber, who's a plant pathologist, maybe 60, 70 years in the industry, says that DDT is going to make he says that glyphosate is going to make DDT look like mouthwash.
Oh my goodness! How long has this been going on?
It's been in our food for It's been in our food for 30-something years, 20-something, 30-something years, and it's been used for 40, close to 50 years now, and as a weed killer. So they genetically modified crops in order to be able to spray the entire crop to withstand glyphosate and kill all the weeds in the field, but the crop doesn't die. So it's been used that way since about the late 1990s, and then in the 2000s, they started using it as a drying agent on crops just before harvest. So we've been getting extra dosed with glyphosate since the mid-2000s, and that's why I believe we've been seeing a spike in autism. Because glyphosate's not just found in our food, it's also found in our childhood vaccines.
Oh my gosh, this is just horrific, terrifying. How do you think this ever came to be in the first place, and why is this even legal? I mean, how have they been getting away with this for this long?
Well, it's a very effective weed killer, and farmers want convenience in farming. They don't want to have to, pull or what do you call it? I'm sorry, sometimes my brain. They don't want to have to have extra labor in the field. So they want to get the weeds out with the chemical use, with passive chemicals. And so it's very effective in that way, and it reduces the cost of labor, and they say that it increases the yield because the weeds don't overtake the crop, you know what I mean, and more of the nutrients go to the crop. But over time, it's not true because glyphosate kills off the beneficial bacteria in the soil, and it destroys the nutrients in the crop. It actually reduces the nutrient density in the crop by 80 to 95% with with drift level exposure only. So that means that the iron, zinc, and magnesium of that crop, this is in one test that was done by Dr. Don Huber, the iron, zinc, and magnesium are so reduced in that crop that it's essentially like giving that plant AIDS. It has an autoimmune system disease, and it dies because of the normally harmless bacteria in the soil. So this is what's happening to the plants. Imagine what's happening to humans. Imagine all the children and people that are sick now from bacteria, viruses, mold, Lyme disease, that normally would not have gotten sick from those things.
Right.
So our immune system is being weakened because of glyphosate. We're getting cancer, reproductive damage, nervous system damage, all of these different things. And, you know, the thing that a lot of people don't know about glyphosate, which is very concerning to me, is that 85.7% of the companies that make glyphosate are China-owned. So we're paying China over $15 to $20 billion a year to poison our people. To me, that sounds like silent chemical warfare. I don't like that. But even if the chemical came just from the United States, I would still be rallying against it. This is not something that should be in our food or our vaccines. You know, the animals that eat the grain sprayed with glyphosate doesn't wash, dry, or cook off. The animals that eat the grain sprayed with glyphosate, their animal parts are used in vaccines, like the gelatin that's in vaccines to be a stabilizing agent for the MMR vaccine. That gelatin comes from pigs. The pigs eat grain sprayed with glyphosate, right? The bovine serum, the chicken serum, they all come from animals that have eaten grain sprayed with glyphosate, and that glyphosate is in the vaccines. And our government has known about this for 10 years, and not a single administration has done anything about it. I hope that this administration is the one that will actually have the courage to address the contaminants in vaccines.
I certainly hope so. There's so much work to be done here, so I know they've got a lot to do. But it's really disappointing when, you know, I cover Congress typically, and many Republicans on Capitol Hill are fighting to keep the pesticides around. They're okay with it, our food being sprayed with this glyphosate, right? I'm just shocked to see a lot of this because I would think they would be fighting for us, trying to help with the MAHA agenda, but it seems like many of them are, you know, right in line with the mainstream on all of this. How do you think this administration has done so far, and do you know of anything that's being done to actually work and put an end to this once and for all?
Well, this is the biggest challenge right now because Trump was elected into office because he, honestly, from the mom's perspective, he said the words pesticides, autism, childhood chronic illness on the presidential platform, shaking the hand of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and we were like, finally, something's going to get done regarding pesticides, right? Keep in mind, he didn't say anything about vaccines on the presidential platform, right? He said pesticides. So a lot of moms that were Democrats and independents like myself switched over and voted for a Republican president for the first time in our lives, really hoping that this issue would be addressed. And it's been a year and not a single law has been passed to actually reduce our children's exposure to toxic pesticides. No restrictions and no bans. They did announce recently they're going to look at paraquat. They're going to review it. Now, paraquat's been in our food supply, I believe, like 60 years, something like that, a very long time. It's highly toxic. So I'm very glad that this administration's finally going to be, this administration's going to take a look at it. But looking at something, reviewing something does not reduce our exposure to that pesticide, right? There actually has to be a restriction or a ban. So we're hoping that restrictions and bans are around the corner. They have to be, because we will not make America healthy again unless we reduce our exposure to these toxic pesticides. You can exercise, you can avoid, food dyes, you can avoid all kinds of different preservatives, but if you're still putting toxic herbicides in your body, you are still going to be sick. So we hope this administration will turn that around.
Absolutely. That's such a great point. I was going to say you can take so many preventative measures to be as healthy as you can, but there's so much toxicity in every single thing we eat, breathe, consume. It's hard to avoid, really. You mentioned unless you're buying organic, then you're pretty much consuming all of these toxins. Is organic truly organic? I think that's a lot of question that people constantly wonder, like, am I paying more for something that's actually healthier, or is it just a scam?
Well, it is healthier for the most part, but we have found, unfortunately, that highly processed organic foods like protein powders, 20% of them have been shown to be positive for glyphosate. So we're hoping that has changed. That testing came out a couple of years ago by the Detox Project. They showed that non-GMO, organic, and conventional protein powders all had the same amount of glyphosate in them. That means fraudulent labeling, right? The soybeans used in that protein powder were not actually organic. And that makes sense when you look at the fact that about 70% of the soybeans that we grow in the United States, GMO soybeans with glyphosate, they get exported. And 80% of the soybeans that are used in organic products, such as protein powder, are imported. And they come to the Long Beach, port, and they're conventional, and all of a sudden, ding, they're organic, and they're worth $2 million more per container. This has been documented, that there has been fraudulent on this scale. So a lot of the processed organic foods may have, glyphosate in them. And then there's contamination in some things like wine because of drift, rainwater, but much lower levels in other organic foods besides soy. It's
so
much
one
lower
more
levels.
reason to stay away from all processed foods and
Yes,
try to eat a
another
whole
reason.
nutritious
Great
diet,
point.
right?
Yes, eat a whole food diet and you will hardly come across organic. It's very low levels.
Okay,
yeah.
good. That's good to know. Now, you did mention that glyphosate is in the vaccines.
Yes.
That's deeply disturbing for a number of reasons. Tell us a little bit more about that, and also the current administration's handling of the vaccine. I think a lot of people, specifically in the MAHA movement, were very hopeful that, namely, the COVID vaccine would be taken off the market. That still hasn't happened. They did reduce the recommendations for the childhood vaccine schedule, but I still feel like there's a lot of work to be done with vaccines. Where do you stand on that?
I absolutely agree with you. There's a lot of work to be done in vaccines. The very first thing they should be doing, I think, is testing the childhood vaccines for glyphosate and other there could be other pesticides as well. And the problem with that contamination is that glyphosate breaks through the blood-brain barrier, and it's also a chelator, meaning it grabs onto and makes unavailable the vital nutrients of any living thing it touches. So it actually grabs onto the aluminum that's in the vaccines. This is what is theorized by many scientists, and carries that into the brain of a child. And Dr. Christopher Exley has shown through his work, by examining the brains of deceased people, children and young adults with autism and elderly people with Alzheimer's, he has shown that in particular parts of the brains, there's much higher levels of aluminum in those people. So he causes it causational, that aluminum causes autism and Alzheimer's. I would say it's in conjunction with glyphosate, carrying that aluminum into the brain. The aluminum that's in the vaccines, that's in our food, that's raining down on us from geoengineering and cloud seeding. We have a very severe problem with aluminum. We just did testing in military food. We've done testing in fast food, school lunches, Girl Scout cookies, all kinds of things, and have found skyrocketing levels of aluminum. I'm talking 17,000 parts per billion. I mean, really high levels of aluminum in the food, and we believe that's coming from the cloud seeding and geoengineering. And combining that with glyphosate, it getting into the brains of our American citizens and children, we are projecting a very high level of autism and Alzheimer's in this country if that doesn't stop.
It literally is warfare. I mean, it's just...
It feels like it, doesn't it?
It really does.
We're doing the best we can, all of us. I really hate worrying people about this, but it's you have to know in order to be able to do something about it, and there are things you can do about it. If you're doing a sauna a couple times a week, if you're drinking filtered water, if you're eating organic as much as possible, if you are taking binders, detox binders to pull that out of your body. We have shown, and so the testing that we promote, this total transparency toxin testing on our page on momsacrossamerica.org. I just got a call from a mom the other day. She saw me on the high wire talking about this testing, and she had her son do that. He was 10 years old and he was depressed. And within 3 months, she said he's no longer depressed. He's up, bouncing around. He's happy. He's not aggressive. He's not having nearly the amount of problems he did with sleep and all of that before. So within 3 months, we could make America healthy again. There is proof that we can do that in multiple studies. There's not just our organization, not just the doctors we work with, but multiple studies. We can make America healthy again in 3 weeks if people start eating organic, eating according to your genetic disposition. So this child also did genetic testing. And if you eat according to your genetic disposition, you detox, you can start to feel better, perform better, think better, have better relationships, you be better at work in less than 3 months.
That's incredible. And so when you put it that way, it amazes me that anyone could be against the MAHA movement. It's like it's become so politicized, right? But it's like, why wouldn't we all just want to be healthy?
Want to be healthy and happy? Yeah, exactly. and it's not just healthy. It's like make America happy again too. Yes. Because when you get the neurotoxins out of your food, when you restore your gut microbiome, the gut microbiome is where serotonin lies and melatonin and a lot of hormones that impact our our ability to be content and to, not be addicted to things, right? To be able to say, to be satiated, to say this is enough, right? So when you restore your gut microbiome, you get healthier, but you also get happier. Yeah. And I'm all for that. And I don't care what political party you are in. Seriously. We need more healthy and happy people in America.
I think sadly a lot of people on the other end of the spectrum are, content with being depressed. They want to take their SSRIs and their cocktail of medications.
I hope that's turning around.
I sure hope so.
I know
too.
Big Pharma wants us to be on those cocktails of chemicals and pharmaceutical drugs. But MAHA is here to turn that all around. Yes. We're doing it. We're here to stay. People who say, dividing MAHA, division and all that stuff. I said, no, you cannot divide MAHA because you cannot divide the commitment of a mother or a father to the health and safety of their child. Yes. That's here to stay. Yes. So we're here, we're unstoppable, and it actually doesn't even matter what the political figures say on the Hill. We want to influence what they're doing, but you, right in your home, you can make your family healthier again today and in less than 3 months. So go to momsacrossamerica.org to find out more.
Zen, thank you so much for all the great work that you're doing. Everyone, please go check them out and support all of the fantastic work. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
All right, we'll be right back with your news to go. Stay with us for that. But first, if you're on social media, give me a follow. You can send me a message. Love to connect with you. I'm on X, Vocal, Truth Social, Instagram, YouTube. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are the handles for all of my pages right there. Give me a follow. Let's connect. We'll be right back.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
Are you taking advantage of President Trump's golden age? Or what if I told you you can just sit back and earn money as President Trump continues to repair our economy and make America energy independent again? I'm talking about oil royalty checks. With the help of the Oxford Club, thousands of Americans have unlocked this secret hack that has put money back in hard-working American pockets. Financial expert and LINDELLTV supporter Mark Litchenfield has showed me how. It's a way to profit from America's energy production that's been working quietly for decades, even when oil companies were struggling. So go to LindellOilBoom.com to find out how this all works and why it's relevant right now. That's LindellOilBoom.com.
Welcome back to My Mornings with Vanessa. I hope you're having a great morning so far. Looking at the markets right now, opening bell over on Wall Street, the Dow and the S&P 500 are up. The NASDAQ has dropped right back up again, so it's fluctuating here in the early morning hours. We'll continue to take a look at Wall Street throughout the day. As always, you can find the opening bell numbers here on the morning show. So good to see the green there. Now back in red. So NASDAQ moving around this morning, but that's all right. Looking at your news to go as you start your day. This is a fun one. A brawl breaks out in the Turkey parliament. Look at this. It was all because of opposition to an oath of office. They are throwing fists and going at it. Not just one or two. A whole group of people. Can we just watch this for a second? I mean, it makes our Congress look like they're well behaved. You know, we saw Pam Bondi on the Hill yesterday going at it with Democrats, going back and forth, calling each other names and yelling at each other and all the things. And it's great to watch. Grab your popcorn. But this takes it to a whole new level. Again, this is in Turkey. Can't we all just get along? Also, on the president's calendar today, he's making an announcement from the White House this afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Our Kara Castronova will be there, so be looking for reports on Lindell TV. Again, that's this afternoon, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. For all of your headlines, log on to LINDELLTV.com, and you can also download the Lindell TV app. We leave you today in prayer. Our Bible verse of the day comes from the book of Proverbs. The Bible says, "He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm." And that'll do it for us here this morning. We will see you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good day, America.
Let's face it, you can't trust Big Pharma. They've already tried to block ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and raise prices on everything from antibiotics to your daily meds. Well, there's good news. All Family Pharmacy is standing up for medical freedom and helping people get the treatments they actually want. My family and I use them all the time. They made it easy and affordable without the runaround. While other pharmacies are jacking up prices, they've actually dropped theirs. Ivermectin now starts at just $2 a capsule. Use my promo code LINDELL10, you get an extra 10% off of that. You need ivermectin, antibiotics, or methylene blue, you name it, they've got it. They make it simple. You fill out a short online form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and your meds ship fast right to your front door. If you want to be prepared and have your medications on hand, this is your new pharmacy. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code LINDELL10 saves you even more. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code LINDELL10. For the